minutes past 9 now on Kiwi.
Live from the New Scientist Labs, it's Janine Young with Wammo on Kiwi.
New Scientist Laboratories in Melbourne City. Janine Young is with us this morning. Morning to you, Janine.
Good morning, Wammo.
Starting to cool down there in Melbourne?
Yes, it's been quite cool overnight. We're expecting 28 today, but it hasn't been as horrific as it was last week. It's all been very normal, and we're coping a lot better, thank you.
What was it, like 39 degrees at midnight one night or something?
Yeah, that was Monday, week before last. And what was really weird was that this Monday night, I'm kind of going, Melbourne's really fickle, because I was lying under my doona going, am I actually warm enough yet? Because the day had been so chilly. It had been wet and hailing and windy and just like winter. Cripes,
I tell you.
Very fickle.
Coming up, we're going to be talking about God and sex. But first up, aliens, Janine.
I thought you might start with this one. This is a great story. Scientists and people in general can't help wonder what is out there, what might be in other worlds and the like. We love Stargate type shows where it's all talking about aliens, and funnily enough, they always look like us. But this is doing a bit of navel gazing and having a bit of a think about what aliens, if we encounter them, might actually look like.
Yeah.
And it's going to depend a little on where we find them. If it's in our solar system, then it's very likely that they'll probably be carbon-based, which is what we are. And if they're in water, for example, it's possible that they might be on the Jupiter's moon of Europa.
And when we say aliens, are we talking about intelligent aliens or just any kind of living thing?
Any kind of living thing at this point, because there's a range of options. You can go from, maybe a bug that's in the deep oceans of, say, Europa. It might actually have the massive, fearsome weight of a gram, simply because there's not much there to sustain a massive ecosystem. So it's probable that if there is anything there, they're only going to be sort of the size of a shrimp, tiny,
right,
really small things. But if we look a little bit further afield, for example, another type of solar system, so one's around another type of sun, well, we don't know what we'll find. We don't know what they look like, but we do know certain things about the way that we as humans have evolved. And, of course, we look at the world through human-shaped glasses because, well, that's what we do, really.
Yeah.
We know that if we're looking for another society, if you like, that has radio technology that we can communicate with, then they're very likely to have been intelligent. Predators tend to be more intelligent than people, or creatures, if you like, that eat lettuce. It doesn't take a lot to stroll up to a lettuce and go, because it doesn't run away. So predators tend to eat meat, which means their brains develop, and there you go, that's what tends to happen. But you also need society for technology to really develop, because you need this combination, because one person on their own is not incredibly smart. You can be good.
You need to help each other out, right?
Precisely, and that's what society is all about. There's a range of organs and features in creatures that have evolved on Earth many, many times. Things like eyes, jointed limbs, hearts. You've got to have something to get the blood around the body. And they call it the 4 Fs: flight, fur, photosynthesis, and sex. I'm sure you can fill the gaps in on that one.
Yes.
and you've seen that it comes out in a lot of intelligent creatures, and they have all the same patterns, and it's very likely, in order to have this technology, you need to be able to manipulate it, you need to be able to build it, you need to be able to move it around. So very likely they're going to have some kind of limb or something that sticks out to be able to manipulate it. It could be a tentacle, it could be a trunk. Hell, it could even be arms like we've got.
But I think what people want to know is, we're going to see those aliens with the tiny little bodies and the big heads and the big eyes, to the side. Is that what we're going to see?
We don't know. If a place is lit, then it's very likely that we will see an eye-like structure.
Yeah.
As I said, it's evolved numerous times on Earth, so there's nothing to say that it won't in aliens. So pulling it all together, if you're going to make a bit of a guess, if you're after some kind of probable kind of thing that it might be, it'll probably be that they're social, they're multicellular, so that means that they're complex creatures like we are. They're predators with eyes, sex, and something that sticks out to be able to manipulate stuff. But what that actually looks like, we just have no idea.
Okay, let's move on to religion. And scientists have worked out another reason why people might be attracted to a religion in general.
Yes, religious people do tend to get a little bit upset when scientists come along and try and deconstruct what their religion is all about and what's going on in their heads and the like. But here's another go. A whole bunch of researchers at Arizona State University have been looking at heterosexual people shown profiles of the same sex and how they describe themselves as whether or not they're religious or whether they aren't. And they found that of these students, and there was thousands of them, lots and lots of them, that of those who were looking at attractive members of the same sex, they reported stronger religious feelings than those who were just checking out someone that they might be interested in themselves, or filling in a survey, which they all did afterwards, in reporting their religiousness. And so they're sort of guessing now that this could be that some people ramp up their belief in a system that reinforces monogamy, which is what most religions do, not all, but most. So when you have really fierce sexual competition, so when you have someone who's really attractive standing next to you, you kind of go, ooh, okay, I might be in trouble here. Then you tend to believe in a system that reinforces monogamy, so that your partner, whom you're already connected to, is going to be less able, if you like, within that society, to be able to go, oh, I like the look of them, and off they go. So it's an interesting sort of idea, but I don't think there's been a lot of follow or backup on this one.
Yeah, well, but it sounds like it makes sense, though, doesn't it? I mean, it sounds rational in some ways. So if you think that you might be tempted, then you dive yourself into some kind of belief system to hold you back.
And you go back to those rules. And ultimately, if you want to be positive about religion, it really is a set of rules for how to live. Don't steal your neighbour's wife, don't kill people, don't steal. They're good rules, really, when you think about it. So, bumping up a religion like that is able to say, no, stay with your wife, don't go after the gorgeous 25-year-old blonde down the road. You have a child to raise, you have, responsibilities to your family, that kind of thing.
Hey, Janine, finally, let's look at a new interactive card that some boffins have come up with. Yeah,
this one's really interesting. They're looking at interactive paper-based products that can actually have things like electrical circuits built into them. They're able to take an image with birthday candles, and then an electronics engineer uses graphic software to put a circuit onto that image, and it follows the lines of the original design. And if it doesn't quite work, well, it can be tweaked. What they then use is a conductive ink, so that it can be connected up to a little widget which has transistors to control the circuit as well as the battery. It's pretty small, and it sits just underneath the paper. And so you wind up with a card, if you like, that can actually have little LEDs built into it. It can be touch sensitive. It's really interactive, and it's not like an ordinary card where it has wires. It's actually the ink that's doing the conducting of the electricity. So it's much more flexible in what you can do with it. And of course, in time, they're talking about taking this to books and games, and of course, advertising. It's a very obvious leap, I suppose, but this ink is what's doing the conducting, and that's what's really exciting about this.
Yeah, it's pretty flash, because I guess they're able to make it on a large scale and make a whole lot of them at the same time.
Absolutely, and the fact that they can hook it up to other devices that are embedded in the paper means that it's actually a lot more robust as well. The way that they're able to get the circuits out is they actually etch them in acid, and it's actually quite a complex process. There's a video on our website that outlines how this is done, and it's extraordinary. And you think, well, how did they come up with that? They're very clever people, but there's a company in Cambridge in the UK which is the first to use this technique, and they're really thinking about very big things from here on in.
Yeah. Well, if you want to go and check that out, you can go up to newscientist.com and see the video in its entirety.
Absolutely.
Janine Young, once again, thanks so much for
That's my pleasure.
giving us the dish on science this week. We'll talk to you next week.
See you later.